We're there. We're there. We're there. Hello. Good evening. Good afternoon, everybody. It is absolutely afternoon. It's beautiful. In fact, I think it's about 24 degrees in my garden. I hope it's like that where you are. There isn't a breath of wind, and I've just been out planting, so I'm very serene because it has that effect on me. So today you will see that I'm talking about that the best partners, I truly believe, get where they get because they are building rapport. They are having conversations. Now, that sounds so bland and so basic, but I believe it's the conversations that make the difference. And just before we started all this, I was saying that I think lockdown and all the terrible things that happened in the last few years has had an enormous psychological dent on many of us. I think in different degrees. A lot of people got through fine. Others, unfortunately, we see them around, don't we? They still seem completely locked in their own little world, um, and they've not come out of it. And I can understand why. There was certainly an awful lot of fear mongering went on, and that fear mongering, I believe, took its toll on business. And it certainly took its toll on our business. Now, some would say, well, it had a really, really good positive effect. So let's look at the positives. What were they? The positives were it got our tech team into massive action. And before we knew it, we had a remote system. And we have to say it's brilliant, isn't it? You know, it's developing, it's evolving. I'm sure it will evolve more. It will get even better. And in fact, I've used it today to sign up a customer who then decided to become a partner. So I can't knock it. So there were some real good positives. But I think the negatives are that many people are actually frightened of people. I think they're frightened of meeting up. And I think that's why we are not seeing so many people book the big events. I mean, we have got the annual conference coming. In my world, I'm going to be honest, I don't think there's anything more important. And I'm now going to share something really, really probably shock some of you. In the past, I've made my parents change their ruby wedding anniversary because they wanted me to attend their do. And even though their anniversary was the 30th of August, they decided to make it when it used to be in September. And I just said, I can't be there. And my mum and dad said, don't be ridiculous, Lisa. It's our ruby wedding anniversary. And I said, no, mum, unless you want to pay our bills and keep the money coming in and keeping this family going, I'm sorry, but I've got to be there because it's one of the most important things. Interestingly enough, mum and dad moved to their ruby wedding anniversary. Now, I hear all kinds of excuses why people won't turn up. I actually believe Mr. Critchley. He says if the price is right, they'll be there. He'll say if every person was at that, turned up at the registration, the gate there, and they were going to be handed £500 in crisp £20 notes, I think there would be standing room only. Truly, yeah. And why is it important to be at this event? Because it's going to be amongst real people. You can't kind of replicate it. Now, in very simplified terms, I can say to you, do you know what? It's a bit like my favourite group is the Rolling Stones, not yours, obviously. Um, but I I can't explain the energy that it passes through to the audience and back and back and back, and all of us together, and it makes it the most stunning event. It's the same at our annual conference, Power Up. And it's all the little conversations with other partners and people that will get together that will make it so special. So I'm now going to try and unravel why is it so hard to strike up conversation? Can we be truly honest? The only way business happens is if we prospect people. Is that true? Yes. Nothing happens unless we do. But the problem is the past has hindered us. So I'm going to share one of my many that I've written, and it's called One Way Street. And I'm going to share it with you because I know it will help. Don't speak until you're spoken to. And children should not be seen and not heard, should be seen and not heard. Do you remember those sayings? Bit Victorian, yeah? Two of my favourite sayings of my mum and both my grandmothers, they grew up with that. And then at school, I was told, don't speak out of turn and wait for permission to speak. In fact, my school reports often said, Lisa has a tendency to call out in class. We put it down to exuberance. She always seems to want to ask questions. Oh my gosh, I think to myself, well, isn't that what school's about? Learning? Isn't this what this is about? Learning? But there you go. This was the stuff we were brought up with. And then, obviously, there was permission granted, or it might be, or it may not be. And then I had to put my hand up, but I never could quite figure out when it was my turn, if you get my drift. And of course, mind your own business and don't be nosy. Hang on, we got somebody waiting. There we go. Don't be nosy, or words to that effect. If you started to ask questions about people, isn't it interesting? Do you not think our past is setting us up for a fall in this business? I do. All these, along with the worst of all, anyone who might in the future want to succeed in the world, don't speak to strangers. Was you told that? I was. Are we telling my grandchildren? Yes. Along with all the worst, yeah. We're hardwired in our brains and we are still proving extremely difficult to extricate. Do you agree that it is actually quite difficult, all that stuff that's been ingrained in us? Yeah. Now, for those of us in that immediate post-war generation, it was clear that our parents had to some extent trained in this philosophy for reasons of national security, but it goes back much longer, and it can be found in the works of Dickens and Shakespeare. The trouble is that all of this seeming common sense is seriously inhibiting to both individuals and to society as a whole. These phrases cause permanent damage when repeated often enough, which isn't much. They inhibit people's potential to a massive degree, and conditioning is extremely difficult to eliminate, having been imprinted at an early age. Would you agree all that stuff that was given to us was like, it's imprinted there? And still it goes on for one reason or another. I still find it difficult to initiate conversations with people I don't know. And even amongst friends and colleagues, I find myself waiting my turn to speak. Have you ever been in one of these big events and you're thinking, oh, can I put my hand up? Is it all right? All right. And when I do, I often feel a little bit guilty and that I've got away with it. I've taken a risk. Current generations are attempting to find a way around this conditioning, and thanks to technology you and I now have available. So instead of opening real conversations, do you know what we all do? We send emails. We send texts. We send WhatsApps. I believe there's Instagram. Never done it, don't know. Is it TikTok? Do they sing songs and things and dance on TikTok? I don't know. I've never been on there. There's an awful lot of means of communication, isn't there? But very few of them are actually about speaking. Unfortunately, in the majority of cases, in the majority of emails, the majority of tweets, posts, and longer articles on social media, we are often talking to ourselves. Are you aware of that? Do you know that if you send a text, now texts are worse, WhatsApps, you know when it's been delivered because it goes 2 ticks. But there are sneaky people out there that don't let you know when they've read it. They've turned off the read receipts. Why do they do that? Why do they do that? Because it makes it difficult. Yeah. So everybody is now listening. They're not talking, they're listening. The trouble is, if you send a message, you might get an answer in a minute, maybe in an hour, maybe in a day, maybe in a week, maybe in a month, maybe never. Is that really communication? And yet I have people in the business that say to me, and they're serious, oh, I chat with my friends. And I say, oh, how are you chatting? Do you pick up the phone? And they go, no. They tell me they're chatting on Facebook Messenger. Hey, excuse me, that's ping pong texting. That's a one-way street. It's not chatting. It's not communication. So only when people are outrageous, offensive, or deliberately provocative does a conversation start. And then that tends to be an argument. Would you agree on Facebook? Do you think lots of us go on there to get into an argument? I'm sure they do. This is born out of the fact that those who use the internet and social media for marketing are delighted with a response from just a handful of people out of every 100 recipients. Did you know that? That's what they're hoping for. Everyone is talking, but very few people are listening, and even fewer are responding. Do you think that I think social media is not possibly the best way to tackle getting in touch with people? Okay. There is very little sensible debate where someone doesn't attempt to create some sort of standoff or turn it into a slanging match. Now, I'm going to say to you, as business, I see my team doing it. They're posting on Facebook and they're posting about the incredible endorsements UW have got. But what I notice is the likes and stuff and comments tend to be their team or other partners. I'm sure that's not what they intended. They intend to get business. So why isn't business coming? Well, oh, hang on a minute. Excuse me. I've just dropped everything. There we are. I think that the internet has become a Tower of Babel with everyone talking at once, no one listening, and no one really understanding what's going on. And then there's the fake news and generally false information, often masquerading as fact, just plain nonsense. So when you've got that stuff going on, but you're posting the truth, do you think there's a lot of people not sure what is and what isn't? Possibly. And of course, as in the old days, with the newspapers, radio, TV, if it's on the internet, it must be true. I don't think so. Okay. So we now have the reverse of the previous position when everyone was listening to the few who had been given the authority to talk. All that has happened is that the direction of travel down the one-way street has been reversed. But it gives you and I an opportunity. We need to open up conversations with real people in real time. We need to encourage people to do the same, to attend events where people are speaking in real life and at real debates. We need to network with different groups of live people, not on the internet. Most of all, it's good to talk. Now, I'm going to share some things with you. I've tried all sorts of stuff. I've tried delivering the neighbour letters, going back, knocking the door. Some people take umbrage, don't they? I found the best way, if I have the courage, is I go out to my neighbourhood, I knock the door and I hand them the letter and say, I live down the road, I'm giving you this by hand. I'll tell you why, because I just know it's going to end up in the recycling bin because I do that kind of thing. Building a bit of rapport, having a bit of conversation. And I believe the people that are very good at neighbourhood letters, there's a chap called Roy from Foy. He's rather good. He has a lot of personality. But what he's really doing is out to make conversations with people. Because the one way that you're going to get some business is if you engage in conversation. Listen, my background prior to this was business to business advertising. I sold leaflet distribution that went into newspapers around the UK. And I can tell you this, as a professional doing that, it needs about 7 hits before someone will bother to actually read what's there. Did you know that? So actually, if you are just sending stuff out on your Facebook or whatever it may be, you are like this. You've got crossed fingers. You're hoping that someone is going to respond, but it isn't going to happen. So we do other things now. We're coming to what I call, the 20K season. We still call it a wham. It's now converted to win a mint. Why do we do this? Well, first of all, it's great fun because we work with each other, and it's much more fun working with other people than it is on your own, because it gets a bit lonely, doesn't it, in our homes? The other reason we do it is because, do you know what? We get the chance to talk to people there and then, engage in conversation, build rapport. Much better chance of actually getting response. I've just done something for the first time and I'm happy to share, because I always like to share where stuff works. So I've had a few of my team in the past has done these things called job fairs. Okay. Well, I am, oh look, I've just said I'm interested, would love a chat sometime. Here we are, a lady from the job fair. I did it on Thursday. Now, I thought to myself, there's a few people doing this. This old dog, she can still learn a few new tricks. Let's have a go, Lisa. Why not? Why not turn a 20K into a job fair? Well, I'll tell you, it was at the Lighthouse in Bournemouth. This was pure coincidence. It was on Thursday. And funny enough, that evening, I was going to the Lighthouse to see Ben Fogle for the evening on stage. You couldn't have made it up, because I've got things of Ben Fogle on my stand. I can happily share. I'll send out the pictures that we took of it. Well, I'll tell you now, if you've got a job fair going on near you, it's worth it. Turn it into a 20K job fair, because do you know what they do? Every single one of them fills in the forms and they answer all the questions. Happy days. Could you imagine anyone at the job fair ticking, I'm not interested in earning money? Ah, no, everyone ticked it. You've got carte blanche to call them back. But we made sure we had conversations. We built rapport. Now, 26 inquiries. I'm telling you that I think out of those 26, 8 will be absolutely no good. Some people have already run a gauntlet, as you would say. You know, the stupidity that goes on. There was a so-called senior nurse that was so engaged, kept me talking for 20 whole minutes. And it transpires that in the space of 3 hours from when he left, oh, miraculously, he's been given another contract for 4 months' work. He was basically almost crying, telling me how tough life is, that he's had enough of the NHS, that he can't stand these zero contracts. But he's now written back to me and said, oh, I've got 4 months' work. So I went, fantastic. So now let's help you dig your well before you become thirsty. Let's get doing this on the side. Nah, he was messing around. He wasn't serious. He doesn't think he can do it. True? Yeah. However, what's happened so far? So yesterday morning, I met up with one of them who turned up, tall, suited, booted, tie, the whole works. Really nice. An H&S manager for Amazon. Good job, good money. Hates the conditions. He has to spend most of his week away from his wife and two little girls. He wants something to change. Funny enough, he said he went into the job fair thinking, I wonder if there's anything here where actually it's a bit outside the box and I might be able to kind of start a business. Oh, how fascinating is that? What a good job I happen to be there. I'm sharing this because if we don't try things and we don't do things, we don't know. So he's come on as a partner and we're set up for tomorrow night to sign up his own services and do his fast start plan. Okay. Today, I've just signed up a customer who's become a partner from the jobs fair. Initially, got to save some money. Absolutely vital, but yeah. And it's the wife, not the husband. The husband's leaving the army by the end of this year. And they've got to then have their own property. They've got to move out. So all of it was like building on. Hear this. I have to share this. The people that ran it, the guy that ran it, I said to him after the event, where's all the private businesses? Do you know what he turned around and said? He said, well, we made over 400 calls, three of us. And he said all these businesses are citing that Rachel Reeves and the way that she has put up the national insurance for employers, none of them want to take on any more staff. If anything, they're going to be making redundancies. Wow. So when they walked in, and I'll share this, when they walked in, what was there? Well, there was the people running it. There was Bournemouth Borough Council. Can't think of anything more boring in my life. There was there was the army, go and get yourself killed. The next door was the hospital, so that was we'll come and patch you up. Then there was the fire service. Then there was the police. Then there was a couple of charities, one for autism and one for something else. That's it. That was the job fair, and then there was our stand. And if I send the pictures and show you, you'll see why we were so busy. I could see the other stands were like, wow. Because why were we there? Well, we turned it into some fun. It was serious. I've got all sorts of things I've made up. Happy to share with you some gadgets, stuff that I did, which were really like point and grunt things to show people to make it easy to explain. We had the 20K banner. We had endorsements on Enabled to prove how good it is, why it would be worth recommending this company as a partner. And then I also had a little one-off gift, which I got together of bits and bobs. And in fact, the lady, one of them, is coming to the Buzz this Thursday in Bournemouth, and I will be doing the presentation. So far, I've got 7 coming to this Thursday's Buzz. I've signed 2 up, and now the auntie of the guy running it has just sent me a WhatsApp message. I'm interested, Lisa. You can come and sort me out. She's put for services, and I'm interested in earning money. So, was that worth doing? Why was it worth doing? Because we had masses of conversations. Loads, the chance for them to feel our energy. That was what it was about. You know, that we're real people, and I could show them things like the Sunday Times magazine, you know, the piece about our opportunity 2 years ago. We had all that, but actually it was brought to life because I had my own bill there showing them the free energy, for one thing, and how that works. And there was so much interest. It was like, yeah. So actually, I would say to you, the main reason is we made the opportunity to get with people, and we had lots and lots of conversations. It wasn't a one-way street. It was a two-way street where people ask questions and you can answer them. And that is building rapport. So that's what I wanted to share with you all. So could you unmute yourselves and any questions on any of what I've been talking about? Andrew, you're unmuted.
It was very. I just think it was really good. I think it's one of the things that keeps coming over is the rapport thing. Because you were citing Roy from Foy, and he was saying that this week. So yeah, certainly that's really good what you said.
Okay.
I,
Hopefully
I,
it was helpful stuff because
I yeah, I encountered the opposition on Sunday with a stall in the precinct in Boscombe, and they were so aggressive. It was unbelievable.
oh, go on, do tell. Who was the opposition?
Well, Octopus.
Oh, right. That's interesting.
They
There's
they
no
said
need to be aggressive, is there?
no. Well, they said, "Oh, we're Octopus. You want to join Octopus?" I said, "No, I'm with the utility warehouse. Thank you very much." Oh well, have you seen our prices? And I said, "No, we're cheaper than you are." He said, "Oh, are you sure?" I said, "Yeah." And but they were quite aggressive in their approach.
And that actually isn't building rapport, is it?
No,
What we mustn't do is build what I call confrontation blocks. We've got
mm.
to build communication
Yeah,
rapport blocks so that we get people that think, oh, this is nice, nice people, and they'll be willing to listen.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I should have probably been a bit more gentle in my engagement, but there you go.
They
I was going to
wound you
say that.
up. That's what it was, wasn't it? They wound you up.
Well, yeah, pretty much. But it's actually interesting because they didn't get many people coming, and I think that that people can feel that they can feel that they were quite desperate, and I think that we're not desperate. Having the conversation and spending time of day with people is good, isn't it? That's the way.
So
Way forward.
we've got a few very experienced people on here. We've got Michelle Vin, we've got Steve Henderson, we've got Mike Parnis, who I know is there, but he's probably just turned his camera off. Steve, would you say that rapport building is the big thing? The speaking, the conversations is what really makes the difference about
Yeah,
making it grow.
it's about getting people to open up and actually listen to what you've got to say, because most of us are like what Andrew was there. You know, when somebody comes to approach us, because it's a nerve, because we are utility warehouse distributors, and if we're like Candy Rock, we've got UW going through us. So if anybody says offers anything other than utility warehouse, we tend to be kind of equally aggressively defensive. Do you know what I mean? We kind of like, oh, how dare you, you know? And I'm the same. I'm the same. Sometimes I've got to take a step back and say, actually, wait a minute, just let them hear what they have to say. Engage with these people. You know, people are talking, talk to them, be nice, put a smile on your face. A smile opens up a lot of
Yes.
doors. Actually, listen to what they've got to say. Not necessarily that you're going to buy, you know, but you said, you know, hear what they're saying. Because guess what? A couple of things can happen. One, you might learn something. They might have a great turn of phrase. They might have a great way of uh, veering a conversation down a certain direction that maybe you could utilize yourself. Say, well, actually, I didn't like them. I didn't like their product. I didn't like, but I did like that. So there's a learning experience to be had there.
And
Um,
Steve, we've learned from Alan Pease that
yeah,
questions are the answers.
yeah,
Because the more we ask questions, the more they think we are interested as opposed to interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's the key is sure you've got to get your message across, but the key is actually get them talking as much as you can. That's Alan P's down. Let you know if you do if you do neighborhood letters, if you're doing 20Ks, the key is to build that rapport, to get them talking. How was your day? Is this your kid? Is this, da, 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 oh, you're just looking after them for the day. Just get them engaged in light conversation so they're listening to you, so that you know you listen to you before you start presenting. Whereas the octopus guys, they go straight for the jugular, present, present, present. And of course, we naturally, Andrew and I would, is we just get defensive. And
Can I share something else? A couple of years back, for years and years, I've done the big county shows, and one of them is the Dorset County Show, which is enormous. It's huge. And invariably, there has been two utility warehouse stands. Now, some would say, oh, well, that's terrible. And one time someone came over and said, "Oh, there's one up the top." I said, "Yes." I said, "A bit like New York, so good, there's two of us." Because we can't actually cope with the number of people that we're dealing with. If you turn it into a positive and in a nice way, people go, oh, right, okay. There's lots of things we can do, and it is mostly about having conversations. And I think we can try and just do too much where we just send stuff out and hope we're going to get a response. I actually believe we've got to engage with people. We've got to ask questions and build rapport, and that's the way that business grows. And we become referable as well then, because we're humans, and humans, I don't think were ever meant to be islands alone. I think they're actually mostly we're sociable creatures.
And conversation to make things so much easier as well,
Yeah.
doesn't it? You know, Lisa, how many times have you come across this where you think somebody is busy, so you do have to resort to a text and say, "So, have you watched the video?" And then I get the message. Wait, 5 minutes later, you get, "Oh yes, I've watched the video." Does it? What did you like best? Oh, I like I like the flexible learning. Should we get together for a coffee? Yes, should, yeah. And where would you like to meet? Is there a day that's best for you? And there's about 20 different, where if you've just been on the phone saying, you liked it, okay, then we should get together for a coffee. Where suits you? And it's done in 2 minutes, whereas doing it via a text
Yeah. And
can go over days.
I call it ping pong texting, and it actually is laborious and it's not actually conversation. And here's the big one. You can write something and there can be ambiguity in it. A meaning can be inferred that you never meant at all. So look, guys, I'm going to hold it there. Because otherwise we'll be told off for going over time. I'll be sending this out, and I will I'll put a couple of pictures of our stand so you can see how we did it, because I believe sharing is caring, and it doesn't matter. We all want to do well out of it. Nice to see you all. Same time, same place.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Bye bye.